good, beautiful people? Thank you for tuning in here with me, The Real Storm, and I'm talking to you today about having a cold during the COVID-19 or quarantine? Is it quarantine?
What the fuck?
No, COVID-19 during that time. Make sure when you see this video, make sure you're liking, subscribing, and commenting for more of me.
Yeah, you know about something special about your words when you describe. You my down ass with your round ass.
Now, obviously, no one wants to get sick, period. Whether it's a cold, whether it's the flu, whether it's allergies, or whether it's stomach virus. No one wants to get sick. Hold on.
And a half hours later, a few inches later.
Back support essentials. So need 2 or 3 weeks back, I was working with children within the school. I was working with children in the school, and I was working with the babies, the kindergartners. Obviously, they were advised to wear masks, but sometimes, they forget, or, they sneeze without the mask. That could be a typical reason why I had gotten the cold. Also, in the house, we usually have the heat up high because we have a newborn in my house. Yes, we have a newborn in my house. I said it. So the heat is pretty much high so the baby won't get sick. So I would put the window open, keep the window open in order to be, comfortable, not too hot, not too cold, because I like chilling. Like, I like to be in a chill environment. I don't like it too hot and I don't like it too cold. Like it like just right. Okay, so those are 2 typical reasons why I could have gotten sick. When I go outside, I wear my mask, of course. Obviously, I dress appropriate for the weather. So all those factors contribute to maybe why I have gotten a cold in that time. Okay, let's just talk about the resources. Okay, so I looked on YouTube, I looked on Google, I looked on everything, I had access to find out basically, no, scratch that. Let's start from the beginning. So at work one day, I was feeling like a little under the weather. I woke up feeling basically weird, and that's how I know my body that I had I was sick or something was wrong with me. So I went on to work, but it wasn't. So I went on to work like a regular normal day because nothing was literally affecting me. I just felt like under the weather. You get what I'm saying? If you know what I mean. I just felt weird. How you wake up and you just feel different. I felt like that. So I went on to work because I had no symptoms or anything. So I got into the building. I worked in a school building, and they took my temperature, and it was 100.0. Now, you can search it up. I may be wrong, but your temperature should read less than 99.6. If it reaches 99.6, I believe that is a fever, that you are holding a fever. So she did the temperature thingy on my forehead, took my temperature, reading 100.4 the second time around. So now I'm just like Mr. Krabs' face, I don't have a fever. I don't feel like I have a fever. So what are you saying? So she's like, let me try it one more time. I'm like, okay, you can try my neck, because usually they try your forehead, your neck, open places, especially if I just came from outside and it was cold. Cool. She checks my neck. My neck is 98.0, I believe. So I write the number down on the paper and I go upstairs to work. Then throughout the course of the day, I just felt a little weirder. I don't know if it was my mentals and stuff as well, just playing with me, because one of the personnel in the building had actually was positive for COVID-19. So I don't know if it was my anxiety that was telling me girl, you sick. my brain telling me. I just felt weird. And we found out that information, I believe, the day prior to me coming into work. So I was just uneasy on that information. Okay, so throughout the course of the day, I just felt like under the weather. Like I felt like I had because when I came out from outside, like when when something is, for me, when something is too hot, like my nose starts running. Like if it's spicy food, my nose starts running. If I'm outside and it's too cold, my nose will run. Even if I'm crying, my nose will run. My nose is very sensitive, so it will run either way. Like whatever the season is, if I have a fever, whatever the case may be, my nose will run. Doesn't mean that I'm sick. It just, my nose is sensitive. So that was what was happening when I went to work. My nose was running, blowing my nose frequently. And I was washing my hands, sanitizing my desk. I have my own desk. My children would sit at their own desk as well. I would sanitize, clean every 5 seconds, but it was like, okay. And I just knew I felt under the weather because I felt a little agitated, but I couldn't obviously display that to my babies. Like, I can't give them attitude. So I just continued on with the work day, and I text my supervisor like, hey, just letting her know my temperature read that I had a fever 2 times, but then the 3rd time it didn't. She was just like, hey, you can stop by my office. You could take 2, I believe, Tylenol she gave me. Because I really don't take medicine unless there's a direly need for it. Alright. Fast forward. After work, I am like, okay, I feel uneasy. My girlfriend is just like, you know what? Go to City MD. Now, that week alone, I had went to City MD about 2 times. The first time, I had to get COVID tested for my job. So that was on a Monday. And when I was feeling uneasy, it was on either a Wednesday or a Thursday. So after that, I went to go to City MD, and in City MD, I got tested, and I did rapid results because I got a PCR test. Now I'm going to tell you the difference between the two. A PCR test is a test where it can take up to I believe 72 hours. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. It takes about 72 hours or more to get back to you. Like, it's not rapid. Rapid, you get it back within 15 minutes. So I asked for then a rapid test to see if I was positive for COVID because I felt uneasy. Sat there for 15 minutes. Obviously, if you haven't done the process, I'll explain it to you. You sit down, and obviously people do it differently, and that's what I want to get at as well, because people have done it so different. Like, sometimes it's like, alright, when you swab me, it's like, okay, it's bearable, but sometimes they like stick it all the way up to your like membrane. Like, I'm just like, I can't. So this time around, I was like nervous because the first time I went Monday, it wasn't my very first time, but it was that first time within the week. Monday I went, and then the male doctor at CDMD, he stuck it so far. It was just so uncomfortable, and not even uncomfortable. It hurt. Like, it was painful. Nurses and doctors, and sometimes they're not supposed to do it like that, but that's the way they learn. Cool. So sitting there in the chair, one of the medical assistants, I believe, the MA, she has swabbed me, and I'm telling her like all the things why I feel like uneasy, nose is running, I wanted to see if I had a fever because at work it definitely rang that I had a fever. So it was like, alright. She took my temperature, no fever, 98.2. Cool. She went out and got another doctor, I believe. She's in full PPE. PPE is basically the protective body wear, so mask could be PPE, goggles, etc. is PPE. She said it will be about 15 minutes. Both ladies told me about 15 minutes for the test to come back to see if it's negative or positive. So honestly, I'm so exhausted from that whole day working and then traveling. I just fell asleep in the chair. So I'm guessing 15 minutes went by like this. I fell asleep. They knocked on the door. They came in, greeted me, and they was basically like, hey, so your test is negative. So I'm like, okay. Like, I was just here Monday and it was negative, and I'm here again for a different test, negative again. Okay, so it was like a little reliever from me, because I knew that I wasn't positive for COVID, because I didn't show any symptoms for COVID. But the annoying part is, I was checking on Google for options and health resources, and why I'm making this video is because there wasn't a lot of health resources for people who have a cold but might not have COVID. I saw a lot of resources for, having a flu but not having COVID, or having allergies but not have COVID, which I have around this season. I had both. I had allergies. I have severe allergy and to pollen and hay fever, and also I had a cold, a mild cold. That was the end result. But during the time before I found out all the information, I was like lost and confused, and my anxiety was rolling. With this being said, the nurse and doctor, I believe, basically said like to go home, get some rest. Basically, they did another test on me, so this is now three COVID exams on myself. But this one isn't PCR, so the third one was not PCR, which was not rushed. So, wait, no.
Oh, what the fuck is you talking about?
The third one was PCR. The third one was PCR, not rapid. So I just had to sit home and obviously wait for the results. Cool. So the doctor was just basically like, you're a very lucky person. You're a very lucky girl. I don't know if she think I'm grown, sis. I'm grown. But she was just like, you're a very lucky girl, because I didn't detect it. It's not detected at all. It's not detected at all. And I was just ecstatic because I don't want anything to, rupture my immune system. And I don't want, who wants to be positive for COVID? Like, no one wants to be positive. So I'm like, okay. She's just like, go home, get some rest. Quarantine still, just to be safe, while you await the new results. But you're not positive for COVID. Copy, sis. That's all you had to say. That's all you had to say. Period.
Many months later.
But nah. So I went home. I started drinking a bunch of fluids, like orange juice. Thanks to my mom. She's a goat when she wants to be. Orange juice, water, taking vitamins, getting rest. And that was a thing I wasn't getting. Like, I would work from like 8 to 4, getting up every morning at 5 something, going to work. Like, I was exhausted traveling. Now my job is 2 hours from my house, so I'm like traveling every morning and then every night, and then to get up I have to do my nightly stuff, talking to you guys, then have to get up the next morning and get ready to go to work. So I needed that extra sleep and I needed that extra rest to revive myself. All those key things, warm showers, hot showers, steaming. There's another ingredient. There's some ingredients that I had mixed thanks to a coworker, an old coworker. He basically told me a bunch of stuff to mix in order to like steam and just like sit my face over it. All those things, help me to be back healthy and back to my little quirky self. Also, I just wanted to say that I'm thanking God that I didn't, contract positive results. Also, within a couple days, I did get my results back, and I'll definitely drop the picture. I'll drop the picture of my results. And basically, I did not have COVID. I wasn't positive for COVID. I didn't contract it. I wasn't, what's the word? I wasn't exposed to it. That's the word that I'm looking for. I wasn't exposed to it, which I was really ecstatic about. And I didn't have any of the symptoms besides a runny nose. To say that, you know, I did contract it. And it was so crazy because I'm like on YouTube looking for items to tell me like, girl, you have it, or girl, no, you don't have it. Just to say that, you know, I don't have it. And I was watching a couple other videos on YouTube just saying, you know, how their whole family and their house got it. And I just, you know, felt even more sad, and just my anxiety rose more because it's like, girl, I don't know. Like, I don't know. But not knowing, I feel like it's the worst part of it, because you just don't know. Especially when you're traveling, when you're moving around, when you're just not only in the house, you have to go outside for supplies and work. You're sometimes vulnerable to certain steps that are safety wise, like touching the pole. Like, I don't touch the pole on the train and the bus, but obviously, you know, other people do. And let's talk about that. Y'all people, I saw this man, he gonna cough all over his hand. Let me sanitize. He coughed all over his hand to then touch the pole. I was so mad. And then these practices are not universal, meaning like not everybody has those practices, or not everybody cares to have those practices. You know, people who have or are positive for COVID and have symptoms are outside chilling, like, you know what I'm saying, like it's no tomorrow. And then I see people at parties and stuff. Okay, it's cool to party, but where's your mask? Like, you don't know what you have, and you don't know what the person next to you can have, because people are not very open about themselves. And that's why I'm opening up to you guys to show you, you know, I'm open to talking about being positive, which I wasn't. Definitely message me. I'm open to that. I'm open to hearing, you know, any type of questions you have. If you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, comment below, and make sure you're subscribed. Because if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Thank you, and have a good day. Bye, beautiful people.